they have to want it. And this gets a little crass, get a little too direct, but like, I kind of think of that movie 300, right? Like, you kind of have to bleed for it.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a toll. Like leadership, no matter what it is, it takes a toll on you. You always have to pay a cost. Like there is something, and you have to be willing to pay that cost. And you might not know what it is.
Welcome to Confessions of an Implementer. I'm your host, Ryan Hogan. We share unique stories of EOS implementers and the companies they've transformed to give you a rare glimpse into the successes and challenges of the system in action. Let's jump in. First and foremost, you're now in rare air. I think you're in. It's just you and JBS now that have had 2 recording sessions. So this is good.
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure.
Don't let them down. Okay, so there's a lot of like really interesting topics to cover today, and one of those is this idea of ETA, is like the acronym for it, or entrepreneurship through acquisition. And what's been really interesting is the amount of inbound and conversations that I've been having with folks, either going through graduate programs or like want to explore entrepreneurship and looking for different pathways. This whole notion of search funds. And are you search fund mafia?
No, I'm post search fund mafia.
Okay, just a couple years after them.
Yeah.
Well, you're EOS search fund mafia, I guess. That would be.
I guess I am. Yeah, I've been told that I'm the first traditional searcher to ever become an EOS implementer.
No way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And is that because you had implemented EOS at your business?
I did.
And so have you saw that as kind of I mean, obviously EOS is a huge unlock for businesses. It changed my life. I'm sure it changed your life. Did you see this as almost like a bolt-on kind of add-on for the search fund community?
Oh, that's a great question. Like putting myself back in my thought process when I was thinking about EOS. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like as you implemented EOS, and probably now in reflection, is it like, hey, search fund guru, like after you go find this company, like you do X, Y, Z, and one of those things is now EOS.
Yeah. So I think in the trajectory of entrepreneurship, right? Like search funds are a defined path, right? So basically you're going to wealthy individuals asking for a little bit of money to go look for a company to buy.
Yeah.
When you buy it, those people have a first right of refusal. They can invest or not, but essentially you're showing them the opportunity. They're voting with their dollars, whether they want to invest or not. And then you go run the business. It is not like a founder or a VC, right? Like it's a different kind of thing because you're kind of doing it all on your own. You're getting the equity, you're getting the debt, you're putting the whole deal together.
Yep.
And it's just a different kind of energy. So it's also in the traditional world, mostly folks who've had an MBA. So they went to business school, they've invested in themselves, and they're ready to go be a CEO.
Yep.
With that profile, typically wants to go run more businesses or become an investor, or if they had a really nice exit, go do whatever their heart's desire is, right? Like whatever their calling is. For me, I had an exit, I kept operating, and then when I was done operating, I took a year off.
Wow.
My wife and I had learned from other CEOs and other leaders that this was an option.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was. And during that time, I thought really hard about what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
We came up with like 3 to 5 go, no-go decisions on whatever I do next. It had to have these things.
Yeah.
And it's funny what your mind tells you is something that is a great opportunity versus what it actually is. Like, for example, there'd be days I'd be like, oh my God, I got this opportunity to run this $1 billion company. Can you believe it? This is crazy. and your ego just starts chirping like, yes, you're going to do this, Ned. And then you really start looking at it, and objectively, it hits zero of my criteria.
Yeah.
Zero, not even one. But in my mind, I was already CEO of that company. So the process of like taking a year off, everyone does it differently. But like for me, it allowed me to like really deal with some of the stuff that I think driven people deal with, right?
Mhm.
Where does your drive come from? Anything that like really got you to there. I think that's healthy,
Yeah.
especially as you start getting into your 30s and 40s. There's something about that that warrants reflection. So I think for some people, that speaks to them. The other thing is like, do I really want to operate or not?
Hmm.
Like that's a really clear distinction. And third is like, what are you really being called to go do?
Yeah.
Like weirdly, like financial security is now gone. So if you go through like Maslow's hierarchy, there's some needs that are now met that maybe have never been met in that way before.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really personal thing, but people from the search fund world tend to go operate or go invest. For me, during that year, I realized that helping people was one of the biggest things that gave me energy.
Yeah.
So I talked to everybody. I tried everyone in my network. I tried different things, and my old EOS implementer was just like, Ned, I think you need to do this. And it was just like the right amount of nudge to get me going. And once I went into the community, it was wild. Like it was like, oh my God, these are my people.
Yeah.
They not only are really smart, they care, but there's just this special mix of culture that I couldn't find anywhere else. And yeah, for me, it just became home. I kept going, and the more I did it, the more it kept giving me energy to the point where I was like, you know, the cliche of like, you know, work doesn't become work anymore, and I just never think of it as work. It's just what I do. So for me, I really like working with CEOs as they're going through a challenge and they need some way to get through that.
Yeah.
I think that's a special thing. So I hope I'm answering your question, but I think it's really personal.
Yeah.
I think searchers would be awesome at this, but you really have to be called to it. And I don't think coaching's for everybody, just like I don't think searching's for everybody. So if you can self-identify and that becomes who you might want to be when you grow up, then that's a cool opportunity.
That's awesome. And when you think back to the transition, so thinking back to when you had the opportunity to take a year off and do some deep reflection, what's interesting is, you know, when you open up the paper or something else and you read and learn about acquisitions and it's all about, you know, what are the numbers and how exciting and everything else. And more often when I'm talking to entrepreneurs that have recently gone through an exit, they're actually depressed. Like they're not actually, you know, as excited as you would imagine with someone that now has transformational, you know, wealth and freedom. I guess, like, what was your experience like in that respect? Like, were you able to kind of get a hold of some of or get ahead of some of those things, or did you experience some of that as well?
Wow, you're really bringing me back there. Yeah. I think it's very personal. I'll put it in context. I think whenever your mind is able to rest, there's just things that come up for you. And as an operator, you're going to think about your losses. You're going to think about your wins. You're going to play the should game a little bit. You're going to get some false bravado of like, oh, cool. Like, I can go do that.
Yeah.
Right. You know, like armchair quarterbacking a little bit. So I think all of that happens in different ways for people. So there's kind of a curve of post-operator. If you're not going right back into operating again, and you really do take that time, I think whatever you haven't fully dealt with in the past, or whatever thoughts that are ruminating, like this is the time where you're actually going to think about it. So there's a lot of ways to think through that. Getting coaches, to help you through that. Um, Getting therapy, I think, is helpful in any way. Um, plant medicine works for some people, but I really think just being alone, journaling, having a group of people that can be around you, like there's CEO networks like Vistage, YPO. I'm in YPO, and um, it's not about comparing yourself to other people. It's about just going through the human experience together, and saying out loud your thoughts and hearing that that's normal,
Yeah.
and that there's a lot of value there. So I think that's helpful. For me, having a great spouse, my wife was just like so encouraging in all of this. I had little kids, so I got to just spend time with them, which was really important. That's why I did everything. And it was weird because there were times where I wanted to go do the thing again. And I'm like, I'm so torn. So these tensions exist, right? The tension of, I can't just be still. I have to go do something versus, wow, I did this so I could spend time with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a real thing to reconcile. So I think every individual goes through that. For me, it took some time. It took longer than I thought. It probably took most of the year to really come to terms with some of the things that I hadn't let myself come to terms with, to develop some skill sets in being more open and thoughtful about reflection, how to reflect, and then really getting in touch with like, what do I want? Like that's a whole new world of like, whoa, what do I really want? And you can wrestle with that for the rest of your life, or you can kind of wrestle it and figure out, all right, maybe I don't need to figure it out forever, but here's what's feeling right for me. And for me, it was like, what gives me energy and truly like fills me up. I wanted more of that, and things that didn't fill me up, that weren't serving me, I needed to start letting those go. And that was kind of my guide.
That's a couple things you brought up there. Number one, journaling. Journaling has had such a monumental impact on my life. Like my first company bankrupted. It was called Run for Your Lives. It grew very, very fast and then just fell off the face of the earth. And like one of the things that got me through that was journaling, and just picking up a pen and like writing all the mistakes that we made. And then I started publishing it. Then I started like mentoring. And you and I talked about this on the last recording session, this book called The Artist's Way. And it's this idea of like just letting the pen hit the paper for 3 pages every morning. And there's such a release in that. So one, love the point on journaling. And two, I read this. Have you ever heard of the book, The Last Lecture?
I have.
Okay. I think it's that book where he talks about, he took a 12-month break between, it was either a 12-month break between high school and college, or college and actually going into the field. And he talks about this like reflection work that he did to like first define. And it's interesting because like, not that I laughed at that, but I looked at that and I was like, I could never slow down for 12 months. And it sounds like you had that opportunity, and it was transformational as far as what your next step was going to be.
Yeah. I think it a lot of what we do is just getting our own confidence to a level to where we can make a decision. And I think when you have open choices, it weirdly brings your confidence down. Like, whoa, there's so many choices. Now there's pressure to make the right choice, and it feels like the spotlight's on you, right? But once you like boil it all away, like there's no spotlight, there's no pressure. It's the exact opposite. And getting through that and being really clear about what you want is so important. And once I started actually getting back into the EOS stuff and thinking more deeply about EOS, but at its core, it is a human energy, system that gets the owner and the team what they want. And so I think that's where it became natural. Like as I was thinking about what do I want, and I knew that helping others in this weird little entrepreneurial tribe that we're in, helped me and filled me up. I was like, well, this is pretty natural.
Hmm.
So I think interestingly for me, it wasn't this like transformative stuff. It was like, oh my God, I need to go on this like massive spiritual journey, or I didn't need that. I needed some time, and I actually went deeper into things I already loved.
Hmm.
Like, I really loved EOS. That was a new concept for me that I could do it. So once that kind of unlocked, I was like, oh yeah, I could be a coach. This is kind of interesting. And then I invest in search funds and serve on boards, and having done it and spending almost decades of my life there, and thinking about it, like as that area and ETA continues to grow, like I can really be of service there, and that fills my cup too. So it wasn't that I needed something new; it was just different ways of thinking about what I'd already been doing.
Interesting. And was one of your criterias not to become an operator again?
That's a great question. No, I was open to operating,
Yeah.
but it had to meet these things. Like, one of them was true impact.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could always convince myself that I was making an impact, and I could talk about measuring it, and I could talk about all these things, but I had to come up with my own metric, for what does like true impact really look like.
Yeah.
And that helped. There's certainly family components for me, and one thing that was interesting was I actually love being compensated. Like,
Yeah.
go figure. I'm pretty coin operated. Like, I liked helping people, but then when there wasn't a transaction,
Yeah.
It just felt like advice, and it didn't land as much. When people were interested, invested, and there was some sort of like commitment, it transformed. Whether that was equity or dollars or compensation, and it didn't matter how much. But interestingly, like I really enjoy that. Like, I think it ups the game. It makes the work more meaningful in some ways, and I didn't know that about myself. That was cool to learn.
That's awesome. And when you think about your EOS, like are majority most of your clients the search fund path? Is that kind of, it's like you invest in search fund, you help search fund companies. Is that kind of the?
It's interesting. I think I could have easily hit the go button on my EOS practice and just done search funds right away. I didn't want to push it that hard. I think it was just something about me. I wanted to get really good at it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this was already my sandbox. I knew these people. I knew the system. I could see myself just being the coach,
Yeah.
but not the kind of coach, like not a coach that makes you better, but the coach that tells you what to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be that coach. That's not an effective coach in my mind. I don't want to be a consultant. So I was afraid that if I didn't fully get to a place of true mastery of EOS, that my like consulting side would come out. And so I wanted to kind of learn. Like, I wanted to like get good at EOS outside of search. And then naturally people are like, Ned, I really want you as our coach. And when you have that kind of draw, that means something. And I started taking on clients. So I'd say, maybe like a third of my clients are search related,
Yeah.
but not all of them. No.
Interesting.
I kind of like the diversity, honestly.
Yeah.
I think they all inform each other, and I kind of get to show up how I want to show up in each setting.
Interesting. And one of the things that you spoke about was you do the EOS stuff, so coaching businesses, helping leaders, helping focus human energy towards a common goal, and then since your exit, you participate in investing in search funds. What have you found as like the criteria for success is hard, but like what are some things that you see early on with a searcher where you're like, this human gets it and they're going to succeed, versus like maybe you pass on some investments?
At a really high level, it's kind of funny. I think I drank all the EOS Kool-Aid. They have to get it, want it, and have capacity to do it.
Love it.
Right? Like, they really do. So I have kind of my own pattern recognition. I talk to probably about 100 searchers that I would have a high likelihood of investing in per year.
Wow.
And I invest in 10 to 20.
Mm-hmm.
So there's other conversations, but that would be kind of up the funnel.
Yep.
So my pattern recognition over, call it 15 plus years, almost 20, is pretty high. So it gravitates to, do they get it? Do they really understand the model? Do they really see themselves as operators? Can they go run a company? Not I'm doing this to be an investor. There's a lot of business school folks that there's nothing wrong with it. It's just everyone's journey is different. But I think there's a lot of folks that are like, I have to go be a consultant or a banker in order to do these things. And it's just a different mindset where some people are like, no, I just need to get to the end and I'm already ready and I'll figure it out as I go. Neither are right or wrong, but I think at its core, they have to really understand search funds, and they really have to want to be an operator and to run this type of model. Second, they have to want it. And this gets a little crass, maybe a little too direct, but I kind of think of that movie 300, right? Like, you kind of have to bleed for it. Yeah. It's going to take a toll. Like leadership, no matter what it is, search funds, your local paper route, tree trimming business, like plumbing business, or $1 billion company, right? Like, it takes a toll on you. Mm-hmm. You always have to pay a cost. Like, there is something, and you have to be willing to pay that cost. And you might not know what it is. More often than not, entrepreneurs don't really know, but there's some drive that I can see, or something in your history that tells me that you will run through a brick wall. To be an operator, like, you have to be the heartbeat of the business. You have to be the one that's getting up and cares a little bit more than everybody else. And that goes for the whole leadership team and hopefully the whole company. But you set the tone. So if you don't have that, this probably isn't for you. And then the last one is you have to have the capacity to do it. I think the right balance of EQ and IQ, like, you have to at least know the skills. You have to be able to, like, really understand a financial statement. You have to be dangerous with, talent and people and kind of management in general. And ideally, you have some domain expertise somewhere that you've learned, quote unquote, business, to a point where, someone would not only trust you to buy their company, which is a high bar, because I have to, like, meet with you and have the confidence that, okay, I'm going to sell you my biggest asset. But secondly, that you can lead people, right? AI hasn't taken over everything yet. And I don't know that it will, but at least in my view of the future, there will be people. Yeah. And they want someone who cares about them and who has their best interests in mind and can drive the company to a place where they can continue to make their mortgage payment, right? Like, I think, like, you have to have this capacity to lead and be smart enough to think through whatever the world's going to throw at you. So get it, want it, capacity to do it.
I love it. You're running them all through a people analyzer as as you're going through their interviews.
I think it became really formal for me. Like, the more I'm now invested in a number of these, right? Like, not quite to 100 yet, but, like, a lot. And you have to, as an investor, you have to just get smarter every time. And these are some of the things, some of the patterns that I've learned. I love being proven wrong. Sometimes I'll take a flyer on someone and challenge an assumption, and I love being proven wrong.
I'm assuming the hit rates on these it's better than venture capital and some of the other stuff. Like, is this the best hidden secret that folks don't know about? And you got to get in.
I don't think it's that hidden anymore. There's a lot of books out there. I think for people that are looking for it and understand it, it gets you. Some people, it just grabs you and you're like, oh wow, that's something I have to do. It did that for me. Some people, they kind of come to it over time. As an investor, I mean, the returns are public. Go to the Stanford search fund website. It's wonderful. A lot of schools now have more, but yeah, I mean, you're seeing a good path to double or 3 times your money with a good degree of of consistency, but you can't just invest in one. You have to invest in a whole portfolio. So
Mm.
this isn't for your average, mom and pop investor. You have to be an accredited
Yep.
investor. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting place to invest, and I think it's more hands-on. Right, you're dealing with operators. It's different than just putting money in the stock market.
When you invest, are you taking board seat?
No, I couldn't do that in all of them. So, ideally, there's 10 or 15 different investors in a deal.
Yeah.
2 or 3 of us will take a board seat and really actively play a governance role. And the rest of us, to some degree, are supporting however we can. It's really up to the searcher to extract the value from the investor group.
Mm.
So, I'd say in about a third of my investments, I hate to say it, but I'm not that active.
Yep.
I get an update. We talk a couple times a year with the CEO, and it's just not as much as I'd like. About another third, I'm pretty active, like quarterly ad hoc calls, the meaty issues that come up, and I'm a real thought partner, sounding board for them, helping them generate resources. And if I'm on the board or like really close to that CEO or team, I'm either coaching them on the board or like I'm like a confidant without an official title, but I'm really trying to play that thought partner challenger role with them, kind of mentor advisor.
What have you had any deals that gone sideways?
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. Deals always take different paths, so sometimes they go a little sideways, but search deals tend to get back on track, in my experience. Fortunately, I've been lucky. But I just had my first zero. So out of over 50 investments, like first zero, and it was hard. So I think law of averages is going to get to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's more rare. What happens sometimes when things don't go well is the investors still make their money back or close to that, but the searcher doesn't make anything. So it's really hard for the searchers to overcome that. And it's easy for me, seeing all the pattern recognition, to be like, hey, you actually just got wisdom and you got something that is really invaluable, and it's going to drive you and inform the next chapter of your life. Like, your future self is so much smarter now.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of excited for them, because those people tend to do really amazing things. But they can't hear that. So, when you're in it, it's hard. And when you play this life game long enough, you're going to lose.
Yep.
And overcoming the loss is part of it.
All right, quick break, friends. Do you find it impossible to hire and retain top sales talent? Or worse, are you paying insane recruiter fees who are all using outdated hiring processes? Yeah, I was too. At Hunt to Killer, we were spending hundreds of thousands on recruiter agency fees. And after I sold that company in 2025, I started Talent Harbor. And the whole vision here was to make sales recruiting accessible to small and medium-sized businesses, because the organizations that can hire and retain world-class people are the ones that ultimately win. Most organizations rely on things like ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn, and they get hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes. But we find that the best salespeople are already perfectly placed somewhere else. And that's why our approach is to go after them. And we do that through a business model called recruiting as a service. We do not charge commissions. We do not have success fees. We don't have contracts. We don't have long-term engagements. And we become an extension of your team as expert sales recruiters. If you're tired of the same old recruiters and want to actually grow your sales team, check us out at talentharbor.com. That's Talent Harbor, TALENTHARBOR.com. Let's get your next sales superstar hired. Yeah, so many different paths on that one. I'll say this though, 1 out of 50. I'm like 1 out of 10 on public stocks. I lost SVB, like just the bank run, and then they went under. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So like those do sound like pretty good odds. Like, are you seeing investor money start to pour in? Or are you still seeing it kind of close? Yeah, you're seeing. So when this thing first started, traditional search, there's this started
in Harvard and Stanford and kind of these schools of note, right, that everyone knows. And I think it got nurtured and developed for a good number of time. Like, I mean, you're talking like 20 plus years where you went from just a handful of people that were doing it to consistently 20 to 30 a year, searchers going out looking for companies to buy. Now it's a much higher number. You're seeing, hundreds of people get funded in the traditional model with the same traditional investors, meaning that we all kind of invest with certain kind of guide rails and we're kind of in the same sandbox. We're independent thinkers and we bring different things, but we're kind of playing by similar rules, right? Once you get out of that, there's broader ETA, which can take a million different forms, getting an SBA loan, with a board, without a board, a bunch of different flavors. And it can mimic the traditional, but it's kind of its own thing. And I'd say I know traditional really well. Anytime I've invested in the other stuff, for me, it just hasn't gone well. Most of the time, the investors don't know each other. So there's not that like ability to react in a consistent way. There's not the same ethos that's there, and it doesn't incubate these like really great companies as well consistently. So you can have great deals, but I'd say the consistency of the traditional model is just something I love. And obviously, again, I drank the Kool-Aid, so take that.
Yeah. And for the traditional model, does that actually let's walk through the whole thing, because I get so many questions on this constantly. I'm like, I don't know. So when I have subject matter experts like you on it really helps kind of shed light on some of these unique ways to get into entrepreneurship. Because one of the things is like people come and they're like, I don't have the idea, and I'm like, you don't need the idea, you just need the start, and like that start will lead you on a path to figure it out. But ETA is a great, specifically search fund is a great path for that. So how does it start? So someone says today, I want to get into search. What do they do?
Typically talk to a bunch of people that have done it before, see if it's right. But pretty quickly, if you talk to 20 or so people who bought a business before, tried and failed at buying a business, bought a business and had a good outcome or a bad outcome, you're going to learn a lot, right? And for some people, I'm just going to go to the language I've been using, right? Like it gives you energy. For other people, it's like, holy Nikes. I do not want to do that, right? That just doesn't feel good. So I think that's a really good place to start. For me and a lot of people that I know, it like burrowed a place in my brain that I just couldn't stop thinking about. And then as I talked to people, that message got stronger and stronger and stronger. So it became this kind of calling for me, like, oh man, I've got to do this. And so I think that's where it starts. Then there's a whole formal process of writing kind of a business plan. We call it a PPM, a private placement memorandum. Some people love that, some don't. You can either get a partner or not. And then you start talking to investors. And investors, it's like this long job interview where you're telling investors why you're doing this, how you're going to do it. You're demonstrating the GWC that we just talked about. And investors are going to vote with their checkbook. We either invest or not. And sometimes you get to like halfway there and you sputter out. Something came up. There's something about this that isn't right for you, or not right for you right now. And it's a hard thing, but some people don't get funding, but they go on to go do other things that are right for them now. So I think that's part. And then you invest. You get the investment from your initial investors. You go look for a company to buy.
How much are you raising generally on that first one?
Now I think it's anywhere between 500 to over $1 million.
And that's covering the salary, that's covering diligence, lawyers, kind of all the things.
Yeah, small salary, just enough to live off of. No one's getting rich on this. but most of it goes to diligence fees,
Got it.
system, software, travel, trade shows, whatever you need to do to find your company.
Okay.
And yeah, diligence is a big part. Diligence isn't cheap.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. Keep going.
So you're now looking for a company to buy. You're speaking to a bunch of owners, and you and an owner or a leadership team hit it off. Where there's a nice fit, you sign a letter of intent. So you basically, this is the price, and these are some key details of how I want to buy the company. Then you go into diligence. You that gets more and more formal as you go. Bring in lawyers, accountants, quality of earnings, et cetera. Make sure that everything is what we think it is. You're also bringing in debt to finance the deal. These aren't highly leveraged transactions, so the right amount of debt for the deal. You're bringing in your investors, and typically some of us just aren't going to invest. Like I might be over invested in healthcare.
Yeah.
So whether I love you or not, I just might have way too much exposure, and I can't invest. So someone else will take my spot. So you have to go raise the equity, the debt, run the diligence, keep the seller on the line, and keep them excited about the deal. Every good deal is going to die 2 or 3 times. So you've got to go through this whole thing, and you're a solo superhuman doing it all.
Yeah.
And then once you do, you close the deal, you get introduced to the business, and you start your operating journey.
Huh. And when someone's going through and they're raising the initial round, are they giving you a hypothesis at that time, saying like, I'm going to look for something in the healthcare space that has recurring revenue?
Yeah. And a lot of that is just demonstrating that they understand the model.
Yeah.
Rarely does someone actually buy the thing in their PCA. Rarely. I think I did have logistics in mind, and I ended up buying a logistics related business, but like it's rare. It's rare.
How hard is it to find a company? Like for some reason I was like, oh, people buy and sell companies all the time, and this is an easy thing. And I remember I think I was talking to David, our mutual friend David, about this, and he's like, searching is hard, man. Like what do you generally see as far as like a timeline for someone to find it? Do you start to see like a burnout or failure rate on just the search alone?
Yeah, typically it's about 2 years. About a year in, you stop sleeping at night because it was like fun.
Yeah,
you're like, and MBAs we're all critics, right? We can dissect any company and figure out how terrible it is.
Yeah.
About a year in, for most folks, you start becoming a true entrepreneur. Like you're not looking at a reason not to invest. You're actually mindful, very mindful of why you shouldn't invest. But now you're getting conviction around why is this a truly great business. You're not buying turnaround, so you're buying a business that's already growing, and we want to continue that growth path. So, so you're figuring out exactly how you should lead the business. And once you get that level of conviction, then it's just dealsmanship. Can that deal close at the right price on these terms? And more often than not, they fall apart. But that's why it's hard, because you got to pick yourself back up again, go look for the next deal, and go close on one.
One of the things that I've seen a lot, like there's the Cody Sanchez's of the world. There's a lot of people out there, not necessarily specifically talking about search, but definitely talking about entrepreneurship through acquisition. And like one of the things that they talk about is like filling your pipeline and like getting LOIs out as fast as possible. Is that something that like also happens in search, or is there? Okay, so you're just like going.
Yes, and I think everyone's going to do it different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know of these people. I've kind of seen, how the ecosystem of search has built out. Some of it is really helpful.
Yeah.
Some of it is profiteering, and they're just taking stuff that we've been saying for years, and they have a bigger microphone. I don't mean to be derogatory about it, but I think when someone is considering this, they really need to value who's around them, who are the investors, who's kind of like with them on the journey. And submitting LOIs, trying to find a business like that is its own art and science, and it's evolving really quickly right now with AI. But I think if you have the right people around you, it's really about buying a great business, and they're forcing you and challenging you and making you think about, is this truly a great business? And the journey of going through search isn't about sitting behind your desk and sending them a zillion emails. It's about really becoming the person that can find a great company and lead it.
Hmm.
And I think all the data points are helpful, and you're going to learn something from all of them. But I don't know. I've learned so much from the interactions, the one-on-one interactions with investors and people that really know the space and get it and been doing it for a while. Like that's wisdom. I think there is wisdom in people who've done it before you, and that's important. And sometimes having people who've done it just before you is really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just going to put together your tribe of people around you and try to do it right. So yeah, I think you do have to be active. So what I try to tell searchers that I'm mentoring and happy to share with everybody is just you got to have at least one, if you're a solo searcher, to partner in-person meetings with a qualified seller. And my version of qualified is we already talked about price. I have their financials. I understand why they're selling, and I can see myself running that company. Yeah. There's a lot of people, including myself, that buy businesses that don't really fit them. Like you see people that buy a payment processing business, but they're like, they would be awesome in a healthcare service business.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a mismatch. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And you're going to find that out about yourself, and the world's going to tell you, and there's a lot of votes that happen. So I think the LOI process and sourcing a deal is really just giving you feedback on what's the right business for you. Without getting too philosophical here, it's kind of where the world and your passions are kind of figuring themselves out. And ultimately, you're going to buy a business that is right or wrong for you, but you're going to buy something and you're going to learn a ton from it.
Is this what size are these businesses? Because you talked about you've got to go raise the actual money to acquire the business, and sometimes, or it sounds like there's debt that also plays. Mm-hmm. Are these $5 million businesses, $50 million businesses?
Somewhere between 1 to 5 million of EBITDA. They're B2B, growing, high reoccurring revenue businesses. They're businesses that have kind of a moat around them, so that hopefully, as a rookie CEO, you have some room to make some mistakes. Mm-hmm. Like I think you run businesses of different sizes, right? Yeah. You want more cash flow behind you than less, right?
Very much so.
So like, I want to be able to make my next few hires out of cash flow. I want to be able to like grow and lead the business, because typically the business is stuck somewhere. It might be growing, but there's something about it that like it hasn't totally met its full potential. Mm-hmm. So as a searcher comes in their first year, they're kind of learning the business. Ideally, they're learning and not operating in a true like full version of themselves.
Yeah.
They're learning, they're meeting the people, understanding the customers, and figuring out how to really serve that business. In about year 2, they're starting to really take a leadership role. I like to tell people, when people ask me when's the best time to bring in an operating system, kind of anywhere after your first 100 days feels right to me, but it's really situationally dependent. I say anywhere in the first 100 days, once you've kind of galvanized yourself with the business a bit, and then you, the board, your investors, whether you're using an operating system, your employees, your customers, that whole like brew starts to take shape. And as a leader, you and your team start to galvanize around 2 or 3 ideas or paths that could actually, create a bigger impact and create value in the business. So around year 2 to 3, we're galvanizing around some bets that we want to make. We make those bets, and hopefully, usually they pay off in a good way. If they don't, we pivot.
Yeah.
But you're making a bet, and hopefully, by the time you exit, you've created a ton of value in the business, and the business is much better off after you've kind of gone through this than when you found it.
Interesting. And the board and the interactions with the board, is this like an advisory board that like coaches, mentors, directs, guides or is this like a board that can turn around and like fire you?
Yeah, board can hire and fire you. That's their
Yeah.
number one of their number one levers,
Yeah.
right? But no one ever wants to do that.
Right.
Like to get fired from a search fund CEO spot, you have to do something pretty gnarly, or you didn't listen,
Right.
right? Like the board, most boards at this stage in the traditional space are pretty high functioning boards. So they have great governance in place. It's like the right amount of governance for a rookie CEO. And as that CEO matures, the team grows, it can scale with that, with the team. But ideally, they're a thought partner. A lot of the time, it's just pattern recognition so that when you're coming to a board meeting, I like to think about it like a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming in, I pay a board fee to all the board members. I want a return on my consulting fee.
Yeah.
So I'm paying them X. I want 10X out of that. So it's not that they're going to give me advice per se. Sometimes they do, depending on the board member. But usually they're just helping me think through an issue in a way that I can't see because I'm in the business.
Is this a way, like when you think about the different paths of entrepreneurship, the whole compensation side of it. So obviously, like as CEO, the person stepping into that role, they're getting a certain amount of compensation. Is this a way to like get rich, or is this a way to like ease into the pool of both entrepreneurship and business leadership post MBA, and then I don't know, like start investing in other search funds or do it again? Like, what do you typically see?
That's a great question. Different strokes for different folks, right? Like everyone's got a different story. Most people haven't had generational life-changing wealth that do this. Some do. Some already have wealthy families and have done well on their own, and it's just calling to them. They're going to do it. But I'd say most people haven't had that. So you have someone who's really hungry that wants that. So that's typically more the profile I see. And yeah, upon exit, they have now, generated some really good wealth.
Yep.
Because if everything goes well and they hit all the hurdles, you're earning into 25% of the equity of the business.
Interesting.
It's kind of sweat equity.
Yep.
Right. And there's, without getting the details, there's going to be the mechanism of how that works, but you have to be able to generate like a plus 30% return for your investors. So if you do that, your compensation is this 25% carry. And in most of these businesses, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. When you think about different forms of growth strategies, like one of them, obviously, a roll-up strategy, is if a searcher is growing a company and the biggest opportunity there is to like roll up other similar companies, is that an actual option and to go raise more money, or is this like, no, you are the roll-up company, you dummy, so like just wait for the exit?
I wouldn't say anything is a no.
Yeah.
It really is situation dependent. I'd say most search investors shy away from roll-ups early until the searcher has proven themselves or figured out. We as a search fund community have a bad record in roll-ups right off the bat.
Interesting.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because remember, you're taking a rookie CEO.
Yeah.
And then you're putting them in this leadership position. Now you're saying, hey, cool, that was hard. Now do this 20 more. Right? And keep your team together and get everyone motivated and all this thing. That's a hard thing for even a seasoned, amazing CEO to go do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they can't. Like there are plenty of examples I've invested in where the person gets in, the roll-up strategy presented itself, and it makes sense, and there's a way to do it. But I'd say you're adding a lot of complexity to a deal.
That makes total sense. There's so many like complexities and dynamics to that of new CEO just acquired that company, trying to figure out what it is they do there anyhow, and then bolting on a roll-up strategy. That's quite a bit.
New team, right? Like I don't know about you, but like this is a weird thing. Like you're buying a business, then you're being brought in as a leader.
Yeah.
And the team that you're leading has way more experience than you, way more. And now you have to lead them. Okay, you get them. They recognize you're not a total monster, and that you're actually a really good, thoughtful person. That takes time. That's why that first 100 days is really critical. But I'd say in that first year, like you're really feeling it out. And yeah, it's not easy. You're not the founder.
Yeah.
So you're stepping in, and you have to earn that trust so that you can grow. And I think that's where an operating system like EOS is, or any of them, honestly, any of them. I'm speaking from EOS because like that's what I know. It worked well for me, but any of them are great. But an operating system is so important because it allows the new CEO or any leader really to be in the room with their team, with their leadership team. And then let's say you're the CEO, you get to be with that team, and I'm the facilitator. There is dissonance there.
Yeah.
So now you get to be part of that team while I'm facilitating this journey that you're going on with your team. That's very different than you saying, hey team, we're going to do this. Let's do this, the Ryan way. Here we go. And you're running on a Ryan OS, right? Like people can do that. That's traditional leadership. I just think you get there faster. You get there with richer, more thoughtful experiences, and you're aligned as a team. Having a coach who has some wisdom and helps you see around some of the corners and ask great questions, and really creates this place where the trust can grow, and you can see it happen month over month, quarter over quarter. I see it a lot faster in almost all my investments with a system than without. But there's also just some really great leaders out there that can do this without a system, and do really great things. So it doesn't work for everybody, but I think it's kind of like one of those. It's like insurance. Like, why wouldn't you do this to make sure that the best thing that you're putting all your time and energy in is getting the best experience? So, I for some people, it can be truly life transformational. For some people, it's just a nice nugget in the tool that helps them get alignment.
You talked about the founder departs, and then you've got this transplanted CEO. We talked a lot about. I was telling you, I was listening to our last podcast, and we spoke a lot about values. And one of the things that's interesting is when people talk about values, generally what they say is an organization takes on its founder's values. When the founder leaves and a CEO is placed, and obviously EOS has a process for this, and we close our eyes and we think about who the best employee is, and we list down their attributes.
Yep.
Do you see that there's a radical change that typically happens with the new CEO and going through that process, or do you see just more of a continuation of what was?
That's a great question. That's a truly great question. I think what EOS does better than most is it's just that you cannot be a bystander with the values. Like, it comes up everywhere. So when you're assessing your team and where you're going, you can't get there with the wrong people on the bus. And this is telling you who's really living the values. And I'd say, is it like this, thunderbolt from Mount High that gets people? Like, sometimes.
Yeah.
But usually it takes a little bit of are these really our values? Are we really in there? And then, after a bit of time that's really settled in, and you've really made your first hire or fire, and it's starting, you've had really good debate around it, then it really starts to unlock.
Yep.
And as soon as in the search context, but leadership in general, as soon as a leader truly embodies those, and those are them, where they can live them and be in the company without any errors.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not who I used to be, right? Like, I came from private equity and banking and all that. And I had all these, when I was a first time CEO, I had all this imposter syndrome that I had to be this. Once you let all that go, you can truly be yourself in your business, and then everyone else can be themselves. That's a really great place to be. You go faster, the connective tissue is built. Like, it's an organism that's functioning. when you're someone else or people in your team can't be themselves and they've got to come to work and pretend,
Yeah.
sure, that can work, but is that truly great? And like, is that where I want to spend my time? Last I checked, we don't live in communism. So
Yeah.
people can work at least wherever they want to work. So if that's being really clear about your core values can be that thunderbolt. Do I see it in like right away? Sometimes, but more often than not, like over time, it develops. People gain confidence in them, they use them, and it becomes really powerful.
Hmm.
And once that is a place where everyone's like living them, you don't know how to be without them.
Yeah. Yeah. And is that like, one of the things you spoke about earlier was generally you're not looking for turnarounds. Like, and this probably goes back to the CEO. Like, it's a new CEO, and the last thing you want to do is put them in, a company that's burning a whole bunch of cash. But they're in some capacity, they're not meeting their full potential.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, and obviously EOS is the kind of the change machine for that, or the framework in order to do this. Is the mandate on the CEO is like there has to be a culture shift inside of this enterprise or organization to like unlock the potential? And as a part of that, when you think about core values, like growth mindset might come in, or some of these other core values might start to seep in because you're trying to change, like maybe a company that's playing defense to offense. Or is it just situation dependent and it's like every company needs something a little bit different?
I want to make sure I understand the question. So, are you saying like in search or in general as I work with teams?
Oh, search. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Search. So like as the CEO is the mandate from investors and
No.
Okay.
There's no mandate at all.
Yeah.
Some investors are true investors. Like they don't think like operators. Some of us are operators. So we have different lenses. And it's really great to have a board that has these different viewpoints, because the board then can have spirited debate and you've got a live active board, and that's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have high trust and you and your board can actually like hack through these issues in a meaningful way, whew, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. When people are just there to check the box and like, all right, cool, they're doing the right thing, whatever, or oh, you got a couple quarters of non-performance, like get it right, or we need a new CEO. Like that's not a fun board. That's not an active board. Yeah. So it's on you to put that together. But the culture is really up to the CEO and the leadership team. Right? Like that, the board can sense. We've seen enough. Like when things aren't working, there might be a culture shift. When like we have a lot of turnover, right? Like there's indicators, and we can highlight that for the CEO. Typically, what really upper quartile CEOs and teams start doing is bringing the team into the board meeting, because the CEO doesn't quite know how people react in a board setting. Yeah. So it's kind of nice to have a board give them feedback on their team. Not like you should hire or fire this person or whatever, but like, hey, are you sure Jimmy's really into it? Or Jimmy seems to not have a total grasp of this. Is there a training opportunity? Right? Those are really great conversations to have. And it's just opening up the aperture and creating awareness. So I would say no mandate, but the board plays a role in helping the CEO develop their culture and often plays like a mirror. Like, hey, you say this is your culture, but it's not. I don't really see it here. Are you really breathing into it? Are you living it? Honestly, if I'm really being honest with myself, culture, like overtly, like the way that we're talking about it, doesn't come up as often in board meetings as you think.
Yeah.
Like when it comes up, it's really powerful, but it's not something that we're like checking all the time or having like a deep conversation on. A lot of times I'll have one-on-one conversations with CEOs about that. Typically doesn't always happen in the board meeting.
And are you just asking questions? Like if you're like just trying to gauge how it's going, or?
Yeah, when things are stuck, it's, that's one of the places I gravitate towards because I've seen it.
Yeah.
But I'd say like an investor board member or someone that's not even going to be in their realm. But like, yeah, for me, like I know like, hey, like if let's say a CEO is having a hard time. We're not hitting our numbers. Things aren't working. Sometimes there are some folks that the darker side of them comes out.
Yep.
Right? They're shorter. They're more directive. They're not coaching and helping and kind of building. They're kind of more micromanagers. So that's a pretty easy thing to spot and show someone, hey, is this how you're showing up? Is that how you want to show up? Typically, like that can create a mindset shift and an activity shift. So when things aren't going well, you don't need, everyone's going to manage differently, but man, when things aren't going well, like being whipped and like being, whipped into shape and, being told you suck, that's often not the most productive way through. But like getting in the seat with them and saying, hey, cool, this isn't working, but like, what's one thing that could work? How do we start building this, right? Like, you're in the military, right? Like a really good leader tells the team where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
Like here's the goal. But a great manager is like, I don't know, in your from your world, the person that is helping you get there. Who's that in your back in your day?
Back in the military day?
In your in your branch. I don't like I'm even taking I'm going so far off because I've made this mistake a few times. I don't even enter the fight.
I would say it's the Chiefs mess is usually what they're the ones that like get shit done through people,
and they're the ones that have to like create trust and build camaraderie and like, but they're in there helping you figure out how to tie your shoe and like, here's how all this works. Is the bed made right? Like blah blah blah, because that stuff matters, right? And I would say most CEOs and leaders, especially in search, like they're figuring that out. Mm-hmm. Like, when am I the leader? When am I the manager? How do I manage? What's the right aperture? Yep. So I think that's a common thing.
Wow. I've learned so much.
Oh, come on.
For real. It'll certainly help as I continue to get the questions on these different paths. I guess the last questions, one, you've been very generous with your time, and I just looked at like where we're at, plus I think we got some food waiting. Last question is, somebody like understands what the search fund is, and they're like committed at this point to going down that path. What's your kind of biggest piece of feedback for them as they're getting started?
I don't know about the biggest, but one thing that's been coming up lately is like, what's your why? Why are you really doing this? And more often than not, lately, people are running away from things. Like, I've kind of done my couple years in consulting or banking. Like, I don't want that, so I'm going to this.
No.
Okay, but why do you want to really lead people? Right? Like, what does that look like for you? What about you makes you want it and get up every day and like want to do this and really care about people? That's one where if someone's hasn't figured that out for themselves, and I can't feel like that makes sense, there's no way I'm investing. So I think like getting in touch with your why and being able to talk about it.
Yep.
Like really being able to talk about it. There's some people that maybe have a great why, but it's still they're precious.
Yeah.
And it hasn't come out. And maybe that's just telling you now isn't the right time for you. It could still be your why, but maybe you need to go do some more things before you get there.
If someone's why was like, I want to work hard and get rich, are you generally like, there's other ways to work hard and get rich?
Get rich is just not the game.
Yep.
This is a different game. This is, rich is a byproduct.
Yep.
You really have to believe that you can lead. Like, you have to be able to lead people. You have to be able to be mentored because you're a first-time CEO. Like, you have to be able to take feedback. And you really have to want to be all of the things of a CEO. Some of it you could take or leave, right? Like, performance reviews, cool. I don't really care. Or I didn't in the beginning, but then you start to learn, like, okay, like this is part of the game. All right, this is a really critical part of the game. And like finding out how to up your level of mastery on all these parts of leading that's someone who's curious, coachable, driven. Like those are really great leaders.
Love it. All right. On that note, okay, I apologize. I said last question. This is the last question. So, Ned, someone just listened to this whole thing because I don't think I asked this on the last one, but
Okay.
we'll make sure to put in the show notes. Someone just listened to this whole thing and they're like, I need to talk to Ned. Like, I've got to get a hold of Ned, either EOS side or search fund side or something like that. What's the best way or easiest way someone can get a hold of you?
Oh man, LinkedIn is the easiest.
Yep.
By far. So just send me a note. Start talking.
There it is. We'll drop it in the links. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Coming on twice now.
Oh man,
I'm going to text
I hope
JBS.
JBS is cool with it.
I'm gonna take a copy of that picture and send it to him.
Better get like Peyton and on or something, have him come 3 times because I don't think I can carry the water.
We're still working on Gina. We'll see what happens on that one.
Awesome.
But thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on and taking time.
I hope that was informative and what you wanted.
100%.
Sweet.